Hello, Dr. Brandon.
Hello, Dr. Morgentaler.
It's a pleasure to see you.
You as well.
It's another episode of the Sex Doctors podcast.
It's very exciting, yes.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you have a question from one of our listeners.
I do.
Before we start, a small disclaimer. The Sex Doctors podcast is not a substitute for medical or psychological advice.
So the question is, we hear a lot about estrogen with regards to women's health, both pre and post menopause, but could you discuss the importance of the role of estrogen plays in males?
What a fabulous question. I love this question.
know.
And I love the fact people are sending these in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Fun.
much fun.
Yeah.
Estrogen in men.
Yeah.
What a crazy topic.
I know.
Because isn't estrogen supposed to be the female hormone?
That's right.
And testosterone the male hormone?
So I thought.
But women are loaded with testosterone and men are loaded with estrogen. Loaded is a relative term. Their hormones, they're actually around in very, very tiny amounts. But relatively speaking, we both men and women have both of those hormones.
Yeah.
Almost all of the estrogen that in a woman and in a man comes from testosterone.
That's amazing.
Yeah. There's an
The estrogen comes from testosterone.
Yeah. There's an enzyme that takes testosterone. It's called aromatase, and it converts testosterone to estrogen. That's where women get estrogen. And when you give testosterone to men, men get more estrogen too. Because there's more testosterone. Some of it gets converted, more estrogen. And the question that our follower there, subscriber, wrote in about is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because if we're given testosterone and testosterone goes up, but also estrogen goes up, what part of the effect that we see is from the estrogen and not the testosterone? It's not so easy to know, except some really elegant experiments were done by a guy named Joel Finkelstein at Mass General Hospital, published New England Journal of Medicine. I believe the year was 2013. And what they did is they took a large group of men and they lowered their testosterone by giving them a drug that does that. And then they gave back testosterone at different doses to see what happened in a graded response. But the interesting part of the story was they gave also to half of the group a blocker of that enzyme, an aromatase inhibitor.
So their estrogen couldn't.
So their estrogen stayed close to zero. So when one group's getting their testosterone replaced, if you will, the other group, and the other group's getting their testosterone replaced also, but they're not. Their body isn't capable of making the estrogen that would normally accompany it.
Yeah.
And so you could separate out from those two groups about what happened. And the bottom line is it turns out that estrogen is important for, get this, sex drive.
We're talking men.
Men. Sex drive. When men, the testosterone goes up, we lose fat. Estrogen is responsible for part of that. And in separate studies, we know, they may have looked at this too, but in separate studies, we know that estrogen is important for bone mineral density and men too, bone density.
Wow.
So, there's both a physical, and I wouldn't necessarily call it psychological, but certainly a mental part of the response to testosterone that is mediated by, controlled by, regulated by estrogen. How cool is that?
That's really fascinating. So, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this, frankly. So the estrogen is important for men's sex drive.
Yeah. So let me say it to you another way. So in the group that got their testosterone back, if they gave a little testosterone, it came back a little bit. If they gave more testosterone, it came back more. And if you gave at the higher levels of testosterone it came back all the way to where the men were at baseline, okay?
Okay.
The group that wasn't able to also generate estrogen never got back to baseline.
That's amazing.
Even at the highest doses of testosterone. They got back part way. So it's not all estrogen, but estrogen contributes to the man's libido.
So do you ever prescribe estrogen to men and not testosterone?
So I've never done that. I've just started seeing things online and hearing from other physicians that they've started to do that. I think it's a complicated thing because at a high enough level of estrogen, you actually are down-regulating the ability or suppressing the ability of the body to make more testosterone. So we have these sensors in our brain, one in the hypothalamus in the brain, the other in the pituitary, that's constantly monitoring how much testosterone is around. If there's not enough, it tells the testicles through a chemical hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone, to make more testosterone. And so it's sensing testosterone. But the other thing it senses, believe it or not, the body is so cool, is it senses estrogen. And if you have too much estrogen, the brain thinks we've got plenty of, kind of interprets it as if it's testosterone. We've got plenty of testosterone around, and it lowers the secretion of LH, luteinizing hormone. So the testicles stop making testosterone. This actually was a treatment for men with metastatic prostate cancer many years, was to give them artificial estrogens, primarily DES, as a treatment for metastatic prostate cancer. It had the same effect as castration.
Wow. Now,
so the giving of estrogen to men is tricky. And it's going to be very dependent on the dose that you give.
And what about this process with women?
Women is a different story. Yeah. Women are usually given blockers for estrogen if they have breast cancer.
Yeah.
Estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. That's a whole other thing.
Well, in terms of like the testosterone and the estrogen and the sex drive in women, so often when women go for hormone replacement therapy, the focus is the estrogen, not the testosterone. That the testosterone is like a secondary thought sometimes.
Yeah. So Dr. Brandon, so we already know that you're brilliant, but this is just another example of it. So listen, so when women go on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, postmenopausally, the standard way to do that is you give them estrogen plus progesterone if they still have a uterus, because you got to protect the uterus from endometrial cancer. If they don't have a uterus, you don't need the progesterone. But they give the estrogen. And a lot of women get some of their sex drive back.
Yeah, right.
But a lot of those women will do even better if you give them testosterone. So the short answer is, for men and for women, estrogen has effects on sex drive, and testosterone has some additional effects.
Ah, nice. Helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Almost nobody talks about that.
No.
But you and I are talking about it.
Well,
anyway,
I mean, you're Dr. Abe Morgentaler. Of course we're talking about it.
I am. But in addition, you.
Yeah.
Dr. Mary
Thank you. So I want to thank this listener. This was actually a little more complicated question that he posed. I'm assuming it's he.
Why do you?
But yeah, I don't know. I just thought, because he's wondering. Someone's wondering about it in males, and I just assumed it was a guy.
No,
anyway,
that's very interesting, because I had the impression it was a she.
Did you really?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a name that came.
No, we get no information about this. So anyway, so it was a great question. Whoever you are, thank you for the question.
Yeah.
And so now let's go on for our main event today.
Main event.
Yeah, which is we're going to talk about the different kinds of sex tech that's out there now and readily available. And we're doing this because a dear friend of mine asked me, she said, send me a blog or a podcast because I want to know, and I'm part of a women's group and we all want to know what's really out there right now. And I looked through our podcasts and blogs, my blogs. I couldn't find just one succinct response to that. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Let's make it really concrete.
Okay.
What is sex tech and what are the different kinds of it?
Okay, So sex tech is any technology that can be used. I'm going to define it generally as technology that can be used in an intimate way, either romantically or sexually. And what's so dramatic about sex tech today is the more recent developments can offer not just sexual stimulation, but emotional connection. That's new and really potent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've talked a little bit about that. That's good. But let me just get back to basics.
Okay.
So people might watch porn on a laptop. Is a laptop sex tech?
Well, the porn would be considered sex tech. We don't really think of it that way. It's been around for a while, and we don't really think about it as like sex tech, but it really would be considered. Same with like sex toys. Old-fashioned sex toys for women, vibrators and stuff. That's all. That's all tech.
So that's tech. So sex toys. Can you be specific about what a sex toy is? I think most people just think it's a vibrator.
Right. So there are so many now. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin to explain how many different kinds of sex toys there are out there. And there's a lot for men now that is I'd say fairly new on the scene, like maybe within the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay, were you going to get to this in time?
I wasn't going to get to
Because I don't
this.
mean to jump in there.
No, that's fine. This is a good topic. I wasn't even going to talk about this piece, but we should. It's absolutely relevant. So this might be what people are most aware of is sex toys. And there are sex
I
toys.
think most people don't have any awareness.
Well, there are sex toys for guys that where it'll feel like the inside of a body and they can put their penis in it. You can get these on any retail, like Amazon.com.
Inside of a body, we're trying to like be
Yes,
not
we are.
too specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, but they're very intense. They can be very intense for people. And female sex toys are a little more obvious. Like the more recent female toys, they can stimulate several parts of the vulva, at the same time, these kinds of things like, internal, external.
Usually you're much more specific with terms than I am.
Yeah.
Right? You gave me a hard time once to talk about a man's private parts, and you said private parts.
Yeah.
So when you say that the woman's device
okay.
can stimulate multiple areas,
Right.
Can we be specific?
Absolutely. So clitoral and vaginal.
Clitoris, vagina,
anus.
Like
that depends on the
more.
I mean, there are sex toys that wrap around the vulva, so it's just like covers all the territory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of toys out there.
Okay.
Now, recent, more modern toys, you buy them even on Amazon, and many of them come with an opportunity to download an app, and you can like connect your toys connected to the app, and then any number of things can happen in that way. Like if someone else also downloads that app, they could potentially, control your toy through the app and they can be located somewhere else. That's called teledildonics.
Teledildonics.
Yeah. Or your sex toy, if you buy it through like a particular porn platform, your toy can connect to the porn that you're watching, so that however the movement and the porn is happening, your toy vibrates.
You're in the movie or whatever.
Right.
Yes?
Well, you're not really in it, but you're feeling the movement on your penis is the same as the movement you're seeing on the film. Exactly.
Yeah. It's like if you were watching a movie, non-sexual movie, and you see it's raining. In this case, you're actually feeling the rain.
That's right.
Right. It's as if your skin were wet.
It's pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
And you can even pick, like on some of these platforms, you buy your sex toy through the platform, and then you can pick, like, you'll have a choice of like 6 different porn stars, and they'll do so you can pick a movie with your favorite kind of porn star, and you can even buy sex toys that are made out of the mold of her vagina. Like it gets very, very specific.
Yeah, that's very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So those are sex toys?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about other forms of sex tech?
Absolutely. So VR porn. Is, the sort of a very major added intensity to old-fashioned porn.
VR, we should say, is virtual reality,
yes.
right? Those are the glasses,
right?
The Meta things.
Right.
Apple, I think, has some, but they don't allow any
porn. That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there may be some other ones too, but Meta is the big one. Quest.
Oculus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in VR porn, you're watching the porn through the glasses, like you said, and you have the sensation of being there with whatever's happening in the room.
It's dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just that you're watching it, but it actually feels like it's shot with special cameras. It feels like you're in the middle of it.
It does. And what is so amazing is that it doesn't matter that it's not real. Your body responds as if it's real.
Yeah.
That's what's so astounding about this stuff.
Yeah.
So with VR, in all forms of VR, you absolutely know it's not happening, but your sensory experience, your physiological response is exactly as if it's happening.
Yeah.
So you have the experience as if it's real.
Yeah.
Even though it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Ramps up the experience.
Totally.
So sex tech includes VR, VR porn. What else?
So I would say what's getting a lot of press these days is chatbots, and that's a form of this kind of technology as well. So it's a large language model, an LLM, a computer program that is created to engage people. And there are different kinds of LLMs. So there's, of course, like ChatGPT and Gemini and Grok.
Right.
These aren't,
But those aren't considered
no.
sexual, right? Or romantic.
Well, you can still get away with stuff with some of these. And there's been a lot of talk, like recently on Grok, you could undress people on Grok.
yeah.
Yeah. But there have been platforms to undress people for a long time. But now it's really becoming more mainstream that you can upload a picture and the computer will take the clothes
But
off.
for the most part, the LLMs, large language models that you're talking about, and we give the examples of ChatGPT or whatever, but these are things that are separate from that, right?
Right.
We're not, generally speaking, talking about ChatGPT.
Correct. So there are specific platforms where these algorithms.
Platform for somebody who's not that savvy.
So it's like an app that
Like
you
an
would
app.
download.
Yeah.
And these chatbots are programmed to engage and to talk sexually,
Right.
or literally, depending on the app or the platform that you download and how much money you're willing to spend. Some of them can do like video calls with you.
Cool.
They can sext you. They can send naked pictures. They can do whatever.
Yeah.
So they can function just like a long distance lover, like
Right.
everything a long distance lover can.
So you get this platform. You pick somebody. You give them a name.
You pick a character.
You pick a character.
Right.
And you pick what they look like.
Right.
And you can pick their voice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can pick their gender.
Yeah.
You can make them human or alien, I think.
Yeah.
Am I right?
You are. And
Yeah.
you can pick like if they work, what their job is, what they like to talk about,
whole
what their
the
hobbies
whole
are.
backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're very, very specific to you, and they'll have a conversation about things you want to have a conversation about, and they'll respond sexually in any way you want. So if you have like a kink you want to explore or something like this, they'll be able to engage that really quite fully.
Okay.
So
that's another form of sex tech.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Another form that's gotten, I think, much more popular since COVID is cam-to-cam sites.
Cam to cam.
So these are real people on certain platforms, again, where they can do like live sex shows and you can communicate with them.
Oh.
So again, depending on how much money you're willing to spend and how involved you want to get, you can go on these cam sites and turn on your own video. So whoever's doing the sex show can see you and you see them, and you can type stuff and talk to them. So, they'll say, "What's your name?" and you can say it. And then if you tip them and they like the tip, they'll like, "What do you want me to do?" And they'll use your name when they have an orgasm or whatever else. Super, super intense.
Real human beings.
Yes.
Live.
Right.
But through video.
Yeah. And, one study a couple years ago, so this is old. So I would say these numbers are probably underrepresentative. But they studied about 7,500 men and women, and they found of that population, about 20% of that total had been on cam sites, and about 10% had really sort of engaged with the model. Now, cam sites are primarily, not exclusively, but primarily females doing the shows and guys logging in, not exclusively. But when they say 20% of that sample, it has to be more men based on the fact that men engage all of this tech more than women.
Right.
So I would say it's got to be more than 20% men, right?
Okay, so we've got live cam.
Right.
Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's another form of sex tech. What else?
Mm-hmm. So there are, I think that there are avatars. These are going to be more popular, I think, with adults over time. They're not quite there yet. Avatars are more popular amongst younger people because they're part of their gaming technology. But basically, an avatar is you create this character for a particular platform, for a particular game, and you can make them like look human, look like you, or you can make them look very different. And then the reason these can be intense for people is you can pair, at least on some platforms, you pair your own, it's called haptics, which are sort of clothes that vibrate.
Yeah.
And you can pair that with your avatar in this platform such that when another avatar touches your avatar, your clothes vibrate wherever that's being touched. It depends on how much money you want to spend on the, on the vibrating technology and all of that. But I would suggest it's going to become more popular as this haptic technology becomes more available and people start to understand it, because then you can literally go into VR chat. That's a virtual reality platform that's probably the biggest in the world, and go to a sex party with your haptic technology on, right? And you can have be part of a sex party. Now, VR chat doesn't encourage this, but you can have private rooms and invite people to come to your room for a sex party in VR. So you can be part of a worldwide sex party in that way. So I think that as people become more aware of this technology, they're going to engage more of that. But, there's other stuff too, but that's kind of the basics that
this is the world of sex tech.
Right. And this is a moment in time. So this is today. And I would say to you, I can almost guarantee next year, if we have the same conversation, I'm going to have different statistics and potentially even different technologies.
I have to ask you, you and I started talking about some of this stuff quite a number of years ago, and the focus wasn't on any of these things, but was on sex robots.
Yeah.
That was kind of the epitome,
right?
The acme, the apex, the zenith at the time.
That's right.
What we might call sex tech.
Right.
What's happened to that?
So they're still developing, and these sex robots are in development. More focus has been put on just general robots right now, and the money making is not in the sex robot genre. I don't know what to say about that. So, but they're creating them, and they have some capability, some AI capability. Some of them can move their eyes or, speak a little bit. They're expensive. They're heavy. They're not yet ready for prime time.
Well, Dr. Brandon,
Yes.
That was a marvelous explanation of all the sex tech that's out there. It's like a little guided tour that you gave us.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to be aware of the fact that even if most people, the vast majority of people, prefer a human partner, all of this tech is going to be compelling to the degree that it meets unmet needs, right?
Right.
So you don't have to prefer a human partner to enjoy this tech and find incredible benefit from it in terms of emotional connection and sexual stimulation. So we're going to be hearing more about it, particularly as, we hear about couples struggling and people struggling to find partners and all of that.
Right.
Like one recent study, Match.com, did a study with Kinsey to see how many dating adults had actually engaged a chatbot romantically. And the range was between 20 and 30%. It depended on the geographic region. Between 20 and 30% of dating adults had engaged a chatbot romantically or sexually. These are high numbers. So the thing is, it's happening much more than people realize, but people don't really talk about it. Oh, I just, sexted with my chatbot. They don't say that.
I don't know anybody that's going to say that if they've done it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more popular than people realize.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Dr. Brandon, thus ends another episode of the Sex Doctors podcast.
Yes.
And what should our listeners or viewers do?
Oh, we would love if they subscribe. They go to our website, thesexdoctorspodcast.com.
thesexdoctorspodcast.com.
And rate us. That does help with the algorithm.
Not just rate us, give us a great rating.
Yes.
If you really think we're going to rate us poorly, you can just skip over this part.
And send us questions, because those are really fun to get.
Great. And so we'll see you next time in the next episode of the Sex Doctors podcast.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.